That's the mute button. There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Planet Collingwood. My name is Monty Dean. It is an open round table. Greetings to my fellow divine co-creative celestial beings of the now. This is why my audiobook's taking forever, because I need to breathe. However, a written word, hey, just slam it out there. Big thank you to Why Not and Co. for the wire files. It's good to hear Billy Grant, Sweet Willie, as Bruce calls him. Sweet Willie the Joy Grant. I'm sure he has a show on Revolution Radio. However, I'm most likely asleep because I'm in the future. It is 4:00 in the afternoon here on the east coast of Australia, the up over land, because all your maps are wrong. Who decided north was up? Questions. If you enjoyed the last 2 hours with Why Not, please go to freedomslips.com and or revolution.radio and donate what you can. Click on the Patreon and give a couple of shekels here, a Federal Reserve note, promising note. We all know it's basically fake money, but that's the system we're in at this point in time. If you want to send gold, send me a message. And then once you're there, pop into the Zazzle store, buy some merch, coming into the summer in the Northern Hemisphere, and wear the old T-shirts around proudly, if you're allowed outside the house, and it's not on fire and riots. Fun times ahead, my friends. And then pop into the chat room with like-minded, like-hearted, and just liked people. Dare I say, even loved. And tonight's show is brought to you by q-healing.com for your quantum hypnotherapy healing technique, which is created by Dolores Cannon. In Melbourne and Sydney, Paul will give you a lovely session, and you can talk to your higher self, or the higher self will talk to you, either. It is a fascinating and a life-changing event. You may not get anything out of it, but your life's changed. Let's be fair. If you'd like to join us on the call, just give me a message, Monty_Dean, and I'll add you to the call. And also the bonus of donating is we're 100% listener supported and 100% volunteer. So all the money goes straight to the bills, so the man does not shut us down. All right. I have been joined by Bruce, MacDonald, and Cortek. Gentlemen, let's go to the car park and wrestle in the jelly pit to see who says hello first.
I didn't know we had to give you a massage. I didn't know that was part of the deal.
Well, what is the the movie Ratatouille? There's only two reasons to watch it, and I can't remember the second one. But the first one was a frog. Strangely enough, he's French, and he says, "All right, let's do the world famous French military maneuver." And his entire squad stand up and goes, "We surrender." No, the other one. So yeah, I just saved you an hour and a half. But that's the fun part of the English language. It keeps growing, stealing words, and a third of them are French. Like, did you know mud is a mispronunciation of the French word merde, which means shizer. Yeah. See, that's how. Don't swear in English, and it'll slide through the censors. How is the Central American point of view, Bruce?
All good here, man. All good here.
You're all in?
I'm all in. It's all good here in the Talamanca Mountains.
That sounds like an awesome chocolate liqueur. Would you like a Talamanca? Oh, darling. Just completely lost there. So
only 3 Talamancas left. You're still a Talamanca left. Talamancas.
Who's been drinking my Talamancas? I'll slay them. I will end your bloodline.
Ooh, got a nasty case of the Talamancas. Could be anything.
Oh, geez, he's hitting me right in the Talamancas. He's hit the deck like a sack of spuds. Anyway, yeah. So, see, that's the fun part, Cortek. For next week's show, we'll just listen to all the 12th Man and rip off all the jokes, because the 3 Australians listening who may have heard of it would go, "Oh, that's a good rendition." Everyone else, what the hell are they talking about now?
There's so many funny bits.
Oh, well, it's like,
if he tries to bloody get in, bloody shoot him. I just looked away for a second. He was past me, and then my gun jammed.
Blow or freeze your way. Yes, and Major League Baseball in the United States, they're going extremely woke, and no one's really thinking about that. Oh, we're leaving Georgia because there's racist voting laws, and so they go to Colorado, has more stricter laws than Georgia. Well done. And the population of Atlanta, I think it's nearly a third or maybe nearly half of the population is black, because that covers more than just saying African. And, when you're a white South African, I'm African American. He's pale, but, he's still from Africa and, and an American. However, the idea is now, well, what's cricket? It's like, yeah, if you get into it. But it plays for 5 days. Yeah, that's why it's called a test.
Plenty of time for some week-long drinking.
Exactly. It's like, what are you doing this week? We're watching the test.
Shush! The test is on.
Yeah, but it's so slow. Yeah, but you could go to 100 miles per hour in a second because you realise they've got 3 balls, 4 runs, and 1 wicket.
A lot of people called it. One person I know called it chess on the lawn and chess on the field.
Yeah,
I never really had the patience for it.
No, I see. I can understand why people go, what's so boring? It's like, however, other people just like, this is thrilling. The vibe, the tension.
It's again been summed up by the first 10 years of Simpsons when he goes to baseball.
Yeah,
sober.
Yeah. This is the most boringest game I've ever seen. Yeah. And the interesting thing about cricket is that there is skill, and it's so British. It's the only sports match game where well left is a positive thing. Well left, like any other time, like baseball's a strike or a ball or something else like that. But cricket, and the secret to cricket, which no one will get except for you, Cortek, is the dot ball.
What's that, bit of sandpaper or something?
No. When you're doing the scoring sheets and the bowler comes in, bowls the ball, and the batsman either blocks it or allows it to go through the wicketkeeper, well left, and nothing happens, you put a dot on the scoring sheet. Dot ball.
Right.
Yeah,
exciting stuff.
Well, yeah, if you're fielding and bowling, dot ball, because the batsmen haven't achieved anything, it is the greatest thing ever. But if you're batting, it's the worst thing ever because nothing happens. Day 3, it's really weird. Can you imagine if baseball and cricket melded together? It's because 5 days, how many innings? 2. What? Because the baseball goes through 9 innings in about 45 minutes or something. Anyway, I have no idea why we're talking about sport. I don't play it. Sport is pointless unless you're playing it. Watching it, it's like, do something else. But yeah, it's very British. Go stand in the field and play very slow chess for 5 days. And they're heroes.
Have another cucumber sandwich.
Yeah, rather. Or go to the MCG back in the 70s where we've put a limit on the beer. Oh, how many cans can we bring in? Just 24.
24 at the most. That's the most you can bring in. Then you have to go back out the boot, get another case.
Yeah. And you wonder why Bay 13 was so rowdy, because back in the 70s, everyone was schlagered.
It was great. The SCG had the hill, and it was...
it still do. Yeah.
Is it that? No.
Yeah, it's still there because tradition. It's that British thing of tradition. No, we've been doing this for years, so we're not changing. Yeah, that explains the royal family. And Canada does have a cricket team because in the World Cup there's the Irish, Scotland, Canada, a lot of African countries, Bangladesh, everything else like that. Because they're not good enough though, they get destroyed by the top 5. But it's actually the English and Wales team, so that's why you don't see a Welsh team. Also, I don't see the Welsh. They're rather rugby, which is American football, but not for pansies. Why are you wearing a helmet?
Shoulder pads. What's with those shoulder pads? Jeez.
Yeah, well, I think the shoulder pads is for the helmet. That's the web. Okay. Yeah. But, hey, whatever floats your boat.
It's a package deal. Some people like the sports with lots of things to go with it. Some people ride mountain bikes just so they can get strapped up in all the lycra.
Yeah, they don't go riding. They just keep walking around the city. Like,
activewear.
I feel comfortable. Let's see. Let's talk about some American politics because I can't think of a segue.
Yeah, that was some pretty goddamn self-indulgent Australia time on this roundtable, I must say.
Yeah.
As I sat here quietly and did not complain.
Yeah. So what cricket, eh? Yeah, played it on an ice rink? No. Yeah, that's fair enough. But we are in Australia. I've got to bring in some Australian into the show because, certain people call in this show and like, oh, you're talking about Melbourne. Let's talk about something important. Colorado. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, it is global radio. I mean, the station's based in the United States, but global. As Eddie Izzard said, do you know that there's other countries? But Joe Biden seems to have done a positive thing. It's only taken 100 days, but he recognized the Armenian genocide from a century ago.
Oh, no. That happened quite a while ago, man.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, the American, that was a big deal. That happened around 2007, 2008. And the reason I remember it so well is I was living in a largely Turkish neighborhood in the west end of Toronto. And this is when I was dancing with the Sufis on Saturday nights. And boy, this is a pretty hot issue with them. They, of course, say there was no Armenian genocide, and the Armenians are doing what we call in Canada a Russian hockey player, which is to fake an injury to stop the gameplay.
Yeah.
But, it's, geez, I'm having a Mandela effect right now if Biden is announcing this to the world now in 2021.
Yeah, but let's step back and figure out it is Joe Biden. He doesn't have Mandela effects. He has cognitive dissonance effects because he's half senile. He probably thinks he's saying that. And so that's sort of, that far left woke crap where, in Black Panther, it's the first black superhero ever. And it's like, well, what about Blade 20 years earlier? And so they probably forgot history and they just want the virtue points. They pissed off Turkey, so it's not a complete win. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mostly, well, thank you for pointing out, it's all being recognised. Of course, Joe, either no memory or they just abolished history because some people think history started is from 2016.
Well, it's the year 2020. Does that mean it started 21 years ago?
I guess, yeah. We have been joined by the Viking. Maybe in a past life he was there. Let's find out. How are you, sir?
Doing good, gentlemen. Just I've been absent for a couple of weeks here. I'm kind of redesigning, re-engineering my DNA, let's just say.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. In the last week, the Schumann resonance been spiking. There was a pink supermoon. You could tell because it had a cape. Last night and the night before. And
it's Scorpio.
Yeah.
Big one last night.
Yeah, I missed it because I followed the moon phases and I'm like, okay. I just feel tired now.
Very intense.
Yes, yeah. So it's all part of what because every other word's being weaponized, not by us, but other people. The change, which makes me sound like I'm a mother talking to a 13-year-old daughter. Are you having the change? I remember. This is weird. This is so weird. I remember two jokes I remember from the Golden Girls. The second one is Blanche was talking about when she started menstruating. In her family, it was referred to as the curse. And she got to 13 or 14 or something like that, and they went to the doctor, and the doctor said, are you getting your period? Yeah, I haven't been for 2 years. I want to know what this curse is. So,
what was the first joke?
Oh, the other one is I can't remember the actual word, but because Rose is the dumb one, she actually gave the scientific term when dog poo turns white on the front lawn.
Calcification?
No,
something more scientific than that.
Something more scientific, and the joke worked because it was like, hang on, you extremely out of her saying dumb stuff for 4 seasons. Then she comes out with it. You are blah 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 blah. Well, what's that? That's the point when dog doo doo goes from brown to white. So cutting.
I miss that. It used to be easy to pick up and throw at people. Can't do that.
Yeah,
anymore.
well, that's, I don't know if it's a Mandela effect or, well, the idea. Thank you, Cortek. You just admitted you pick up shit.
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, but that sounds like a complaint. So yeah, it's but that no, I've seen a comedian point that. Have you noticed you don't see any white dog turds anymore? It's like yeah. It's back to a simpler time. So, Bruce, are you still on your news fast?
Yes.
Good. Well, I'll try and. I actually got a comment. It's a rare moment I get comments on YouTube. So thank you for the person who did. They're on a news fast as well, and we started talking about news, and so they started hitting themselves with the slipper. I mean, you could have just paused the video, but I'm not one to judge. Let's see. In around about 19 hours, the former Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, is having a speech at the joint sitting of Congress. And I read somewhere it's going to probably be an empty room. So, 8:45 or around about 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, PM, is when your fearless leader will be trying to read a teleprompter and stay coherent. I'm wondering how much cocaine he'll have before he comes out.
Did I give him too much?
Probably meth, not cocaine.
Okay, well, yeah. Because, I mean,
too much work for the ticker.
Meth was the favorite of most leaders.
Them higher ups call the meth Adderall.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the main thing about Hitler. I mean, he had syphilis and he started going insane, and there was a decision in the high command of the Allies of we have to keep Hitler alive because he's winning us the war. And so Adolf Hitler is being lied about. Yeah, but he's still a psychotic meth head. I can't say the other word.
I think that Pirate Blackbeard had syphilis. If that Netflix pirate special is anything to go by,
he did.
I have something to say.
Hmm?
Sorry, Bruce.
Oh, I thought that would be contested. I was waiting to smack somebody down there.
You dropped off.
What a polite round table.
No. If I may, we didn't hear it. So, no, we didn't hear it. Your internet censored.
You dropped off.
You dropped halfway through the sentence, so we have no idea what you said.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't say anything. That's why I was waiting for permission. This is what getting off news has done to me. It's made me much more servile and polite as well. This is the thing. This is something that some listeners at Rev Radio need to hear. So I'm going to say this out loud. There's a lot of material out there now that's very favorable toward Hitler. It suggests that the Holocaust never happened, and I don't believe the Holocaust happened as well. And I do believe Hitler was a really kind of an extraordinary and very spiritual human being in the 1920s and 30s. Served very valiantly in World War I. But what these people forget, he did go crazy, because what they had to get really dark to fight what they were fighting, and they made alliances in the fourth dimension, and they went really dark, right? So it would not be a better world if the Nazis had won, because they had taken on so much spiritual baggage and spiritual contracts with negative entities that it would have just been horrible. But they became the monster they fought. They became the Nietzschean prophecy themselves. As you all know, Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, said, if you're going to do battle with a monster, take care you don't become a monster yourself, because how else do you beat a monster but become a monster?
Yeah, and you could see that with the Allies, where the Nazi firebombed Coventry. Yeah, because the Allies firebombed Dresden the night before. And so they're doing very tit for tat, in I think it's the opening crawl of Return of the Sith. War, there's heroes on both sides.
Yeah. So by the time, so I'll explain it this way. So let's say you got, like, in one of those movies, where you got the really corrupt prisons where they run the fight to the death rings and that sort of stuff, right? That's planet Earth. And the controllers will allow us to, the farmers, let's say that instead of controllers, they will allow us to fight for certain positions in the world, right? But it doesn't mean that either side is going to create a better world for all of humanity. It's just two cocksuckers fighting each other to pimp us out.
Yeah. I watched Later with Crowder this morning, my time. So the latest show, it's 10 a.m. Eastern for the United States. So it's on YouTube as well as his own paywall stuff. And there's footage of a black man filming cops, and he's going, "You're going to shoot me like Michael O'Brien?" And the cop basically comes back and says, "Are you going to stab somebody?" And no. It's like, yeah, and apparently he's being investigated. The cop's being investigated. That it's like, really? Are you that stupid? And also there's footage of a brilliant hero, cigarette in mouth. He brought a frying pan to an Antifa protest, and he hits two of them in the face, and it generally sounds like a Three Stooges sketch. It's got that classic
I've
bomb.
seen that GIF looped.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's like gong, gong. And of course, the Antifa is like, they're all dressed in black, but they have pink headwear. So obviously, they're not going for camouflage. So just moments of I'm not saying go around hitting people, but when Antifa who they're insurrectionists and terrorists. I mean, Portland's been going for over a year now, nearly, and but Trump's the bad man. Anyway, it's kind of getting. Luckily, I do a comedy show because that's how I vent all this stupidity.
The point is, if you choose to use a frying pan with a reasonably wide base, you'll make a great gong sound.
Yes, and it's glorious. I reckon. If I had the knowledge, I would. I need to get a mixing board or something so I can do sound effects.
I thought you were going to say start a gong choir or something.
No, not really. That's too much work.
So I wanted to comment on this Third Reich. Much like Atlantis, which had a similar society, he had what was known as the Vril Society. And they just didn't open up the fourth dimension. He opened up the fifth dimension. The Vril Society reached out there and created a portal to the Darker Ions. And they made a contract, where they had a certain agenda to destroy the world, and in exchange he received all of his blueprints to create the Foo Fighter, which is a flying saucer.
Mm-hmm.
Now they weren't able to weaponize it, so that was their downfall. But they did use it to escape to South America and Antarctica, where they eventually found enough technology. I think that they were actually guided there. Found enough technology to reverse engineer to get themselves into the through the Van Allen belt to Mars, where they set up what is known as the ICC. What's interesting about this is that it's the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, ICC, which now actually has a biosphere. And the ICC is the head, the tip of the spear for all the Fortune 500s. All the Fortune 500s are owned and managed by the ICC. And they're on the Georgia Guidestone's agenda for 2020, the Agenda 20 and Agenda 22. And it's been interesting in the past 2 weeks, the algorithms of certain timelines that are coming out are very scary. For example, in Oregon, they're trying to pass a bill to make your local husbandry, like if you're a rancher, illegal. So you can't raise cattle, goats, or sheep, or chickens. And I think the reason it's happening there is because of that what went down 5 years ago with the Bundys. They tried to burn out the ranchers because they wanted the uranium on the BLM land, and they couldn't get to it because the ranchers had their rights that were 50-year leases, right? Yeah. So I think their only alternative is to try to make it illegal, and it's really and that's scary because that ties into the whole Gates agenda where he wants to do away with beef and cattle, and the ICC are basically trying to overall, with all of their agendas, to terraform this planet so that they can come back and repopulate it. And I think a lot of with the CO2 gases, I think a lot of their extraterrestrial buddies find this air toxic. Now, what's happening with the faux meat? Now, that's really interesting is that I asked one of the my galactic guests on my show, I forget which one it was, but I asked them about Soylent Green. I said, are these corporations, Kraft, Kellogg's, are they experimenting with using human body parts to make these protein bars? And he says, yes, they actually are experimenting with this new faux meat and integrating in human body parts. And this is like, here we're given free, they don't want us to own a home. They don't want us to, they'll pay us not to work. But what if in 2020 they cut everything off and they say, now, it's like, this is the way to depopulate and enslave us into food riots and food wars. And the whole thing is like, really getting, I mean, these are their timelines. I'm not saying these are going to manifest, but this is the way they're thinking.
Yeah. They're trying to manifest. Yeah.
Right. They're terraforming our consciousness, our food, our money with digital currency. And they're literally, they're throwing out their grappling hooks here, trying to grab onto something. And I don't think it's working, but I'm just saying, just to be aware of the fact that you need to be aware this is happening so it doesn't happen.
Yes, yeah. That's the part about the information is you can observe, don't engage type of deal.
Exactly.
Let's say I've got a buffer of jokes. So those playing at home, Oregon, if I'm correct, they decriminalized all drugs, and they actually had an ad campaign of meth. I'm on it, so that kind of explains.
I saw that, but they forgot the comma.
Yeah, it's all like, that explains.
Or maybe they should have wrote "where" on it, or
yeah. And also, Soylent Green was set in 2022, and was it what some government department said only have one hamburger a month, and Americans are like, no. Imagine if Americans actually had proper food. Because you've seen those comparisons where it's the same product, but it's a different country, and the American one has 50 more chemicals added to it.
Have you seen that? Where are we going to invade next? The Michael Moore movie. It was kind of the third one he did, and it was all getting a bit tiring. But I watched it, and it was nothing like he normally does. He goes around to all the European countries looking at what primary schools feed the children, and how education is different all over the world, and what universities are free and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
But they had a comparison of a meal that was served to a child, in a typical high school in the US, and they were showing it to this French chef kind of thing when they're serving, their students in beautiful looking restaurant type meals, and there's just this showing them this mush of beans and other stuff, and he goes, you can't really call that food, can you?
That's the French though, where like our peasants eat better than you. They have a 3-course dinner with a nice bottle of wine, and he's homeless. It is kind of fascinating. I saw a great meme from Gordon Ramsay. I don't know if he actually said it, but I like the meme. Like, you've put so much oil on that dish, the United States wants to invade it.
Yeah. Over here, it's always, in North America and America, it's always, hey, you got any change for coffee? Over in France, do you have any change for white chocolate mousse?
You got any change for a nice Berlot or Merlot or something? Yeah. It's like, let them eat cake. I don't want the cake. I want the caviar.
Change for a truffle?
I like the second.
Don't get me started on the French, man. You just simply can't understand the degree to which an Anglo born and raised in Ottawa does not like French people. I'm telling you, it's not me. It's everybody that was raised. They took over Ottawa, man.
What was the deal? What was the deal, Bruce, with Canada and France? How did that get made? I don't know the history exactly. How was that blend made?
Excellent story. Okay, so the French and the English were both fighting it out. Like, the English were down around where Toronto is now, and the French were around Quebec City, the St. Lawrence Seaway. and they were both resupplying each themselves from Europe, intermittently fighting, and then finally they had it out. The final battle was on the Plains of Abraham in Quebec City, and the English general was General Wolfe, and he won. That's one of the most haunted places in Canada. If you go to the Plains of Abraham now in Quebec City, at midnight, you'll hear voices all around you. I'm not trying to sound silly or superstitious. It's a profoundly haunted place. But that's what happened. So the British won, and the French never really accepted that they lost. You know what their license plate says in Quebec?
The real Canada?
Yeah, you know what? No, their license plate says "Je me souviens," I remember, and it's a reference to the Plains of Abraham. They don't concede that they lost, even though they threw down their weapons and gave up.
That sounds like it's worse than Northern Ireland, because all that stuff is like some guy in an orange coat walked through a village or something, and that was 400 years ago.
Don't even get me started on Catholics.
No. Well, it's just as you were saying that, it's like that massive battle. Hey, yes, that's right. We will win because we have God on our side, and then on the other side, we will win because we have God on our side. And it's like, I think that's perpetuating that God's a prick, because if you got two Christian nations killing each other and one loses, clearly that's God. I mean, that's how the royal family. God has ordained that I should rule. No, you killed everyone else, you prick.
Maybe death luge counts no matter what side you're on.
Oh, well, the French and the English had 100 years war that went for 88. But, I mean, they're only divided. What's the channel? It's only, 5 miles or 15? They're pretty close. And they had a war for nearly a century.
The English Channel, yeah.
Yeah, and, I mean, at some point, too, there was French kings, and the royal court in England only spoke French, and... Yeah, and of course, for all the far leftists that are listening, yeah, right, they're all white people, so they're all evil. So that's the fun thing about when in the United States they talk about slavery. It's like, can you mention the Irish? Hello?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where, like, actually, Bruce, in Canada growing up, did you have...
White slavery is huge now, and it has been for the last 20 or 30 years, man, since the American economy started declining. Blonde, blue-haired girls are sold all over the world, man. They're sold to Arab sheiks.
Oh, yeah, the slavery today is still going. But, yeah, let's talk about something from 1865. It kind of makes sense. But in your youth, did you have that wave of Irish jokes?
My youth? Yes, I did.
Youth. In
your youth? We used to tell Newfie jokes, people from Newfoundland.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah.
Want to hear a Newfie joke?
Sure.
There's a Newfie who, got his inheritance. His grandmother died, and he went out and bought a Cadillac, and he gets carjacked right away. And while the guys are setting up his car and getting ready to take it away, they draw a chalk circle, and they say, man, you don't deserve to own this car. We're going to break it up. And they grab a couple pipes. And they say, whatever you do, don't step out of that circle or we'll kill you. And as they're smashing his car up, he starts giggling hysterically. And they say, what's up with you? He said, I stepped out of the circle twice. That's a Newfie joke.
Yeah, it's like blonde jokes. I actually saw a meme like AOC changing blonde jokes one day at a time. So, but
let's get some energy into this roundtable, man. What are we talking about here? Why don't you cue us up, Viking? What are the cosmics saying? What are we in store for here? Is it nonstop anal rape?
Well, I'm not voting for that.
No.
Well, it's not a vote.
They're saying, we are hitting a critical mass here. And they're saying that there's going to be one more wave of whatever it is that they have up their sleeve of some sort of a wave of this COVID, whatever you call it. Thank God they got the Evergreen ship, because that had so many weapons, that had a nuclear weapon, and had 3,000 children. I mean, they really did a major service.
Hold on. I thought it just had sex toys in it.
Go, Bruce.
Jesus, Cortek, where did that come from? You depraved, Aussie bastard.
It's a
Leave
front
the
page.
house, dude. Leave the house, man.
It's a front page of a Sun newspaper from England.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're listening to the media. That's your first problem. Go ahead, Bruce.
You must have grown up watching that cheeky Paul Hogan, Benny Hill shit in the 70s on the Australian Broadcasting Corporation.
Yeah, I did. Love that show. Paul. Bring it back.
Yeah, Leo Wanker's a god.
Benny Hill for president.
So, okay, obviously the elephant in the conversation room here is Viking just suggested that Team Trump is out doing their stuff. I'm calling bullshit. Anybody want to take up my cause? I don't really feel like talking this roundtable. I just want to provoke stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not watching news. I'm becoming more civil. Nah, I'll be an asshole.
Viking, pull the needle out of your arm, man. Get off the junk. There ain't no Trump and baby Jesus.
I love smoking my hopium. I love it. I love my hopium.
See, you're halfway there. You've recognized. But the thing is, like, and also, let's be fair, Viking is multidimensional and sees timelines, and so, like, it's a lot of people,
Yeah, Viking, you need to drop that like a high school girlfriend who put on 20 pens without telling you.
Jeez, and there's a moment of Bruce's past.
my point being is that there's going to be another barrage of subjugation here, and it's they're saying that when this occurs, it's going to bring another mass of humanity, into an awakened state. All this is designed to create, it backfires. Everything that they're doing is backfiring, and this last wave is going to create a tipping point for conscious awareness on this planet, and they're saying it's gonna be somewhere in the fall. So we still got these months to trudge ahead in, but you don't have to be locked into their or stapled into their agenda. You can be doing what you want to do in life, and just as Monty's doing. You don't listen to the news and enjoy your life. But there is going to be another last hurrah, and hopefully at that point the things will find their demise.
It will probably be something stupid. As an example, I'm not putting it out there to manifest it or put it forward. It's basically if you sort of see where a path is happening, Biden may try and bring in federal police, where they'll get rid of the local police, and that's one thing I've noticed. Like the example that I use, if you remember the bombing in Manchester at a pop concert, like if I don't like the music, I leave. But this guy went a bit hardcore. The thing is, every time they try and push people into their narrative timeline and create more fear, they're like people running out, but a lot of people went back in to help other humans. As this is the example I put, and what we're seeing is what Viking has said, the pendulum is really going backward and forth. Like they push it into the dark and the deep because they don't realize that it's not 1958 anymore. And it's 2021.
I love the models that kind of they would predict that everyone would turn on themselves and start eating each other's brains, and then what happens? People aren't like that. People help.
People don't like that. People don't like that. So what he's saying is that we need this energy and frequency is an oscillation, right? Everything has an oscillation. It goes up and down. It's because of the oscillation it gives us perspective. So this down cycle is going to give us perspective to understand that we don't want to do this. Is not what we want to do. We don't want this. It's not who we are. It's not serving me. It's not serving humanity. It's just another. It's going to be another energy frequency wave that they're going to put forth, and it's going to be countered by us waking up and saying, no, we're not buying into this. And it has to happen. It has to happen. As I said, it needs to play out. To the very end here. They've already lost their footing and their stratagem. I mean, the friggin' White House. There was a guy who I watch a lot. He's Arcadia Economics was filming the White House last week, and the lawn is overgrown. I mean, it's just like there's no one there.
Not even a gardener.
Usually it's like pristine, but it's overgrown, and it's like it looks like it's an abandoned, haunted house.
Set from The Walking Dead.
Well, no. I was going to bring up The Walking Dead because I'm watching season 1 and I'm thinking it's been 6 months. Who's mowing all the lawns? Brains. I'm going to do some gardening. That's kind of telling because at that level of power and policy and politics and optics, mow the lawn. Go ahead, Viking.
So last week, Trump, he had to do a split motorcade, and he got on Air Force One. He still commands Air Force One, which is what I think that's the Army, and then of course Air Force Two is a chopper and some Marines. Biden has to get a plane and have it all decked out and painted, and has fake guards, and I mean this whole thing is bifurcated. It's so. What's really sad here is that people still don't see it. Well, and this is what really is like. I mean, the worst it gets causes more of a bifurcation. More people are waking up. But what is it going to take to get these knuckleheads to open their eyes?
Something. But you've got free will, and it's interesting as well with Trump. And then I'll hand the baton. I like just doing French words.
That's French.
Yeah, rather to Bruce. Like Trump getting into Air Force One, it's like, I don't know, it's a bit small.
I be heard. Am I on mute? Can you hear me?
No. Yes.
Yeah. I just thought I'd finish my paragraph and then go, Bruce, go ahead.
All right.
Bruce, go ahead.
This is all in.
Oh, you were dead. Okay. So, look, this is monumental, okay? There's a couple things I want to address here, and they're about what I call the critical point. Critical point occurs in their plan where there's a mass awakening where what they're doing can't be hidden anymore. I'm hearing the craziest crap on this radio station now. Everybody who's taken the vaccine is going to die. Really? Really? They're all going to die. Okay, so like 150 million people. Yeah, 150 million people are going to die before, let's say, Independence Day 2022. You don't think that's going to raise a few red flags in the remaining 200 million Americans?
Someone may notice that, yeah.
That's what I mean by critical point. So to advance mass death, they have to keep the fallacy going. They have to keep what we call in the literary game, the suspension of disbelief. Mm-hmm. It's going to be very hard to do when everybody, by 2 degrees of separation, knows somebody who has died from the vaccine or the COVID, right? So there's one thing. Number 2, the White House and the trappings of the office of president and the accoutrements and the customs and ceremonies of that office are an issue that I think does tie into Viking's theory that I was only half joking about, Team Trump and that. Maybe they did rescue some kids on Evergreen. I don't know. But it is really strange, this presidency, and I find it extremely transparent, too. Why isn't Jimmy Kimmel saying anything? Why isn't Bill Maher saying anything? Why isn't anybody spilling the beans? Why isn't anybody going, something's rotten in the state of Denmark here?
Because they're Satanists. Jimmy Kimmel's a Satanist, man. I mean, he's not going to talk against it.
However, if I may, because you mentioned Bill Maher actually has started to turn on the SJW PC mentality and the generation nobbing. Yeah,
but this would be a great topic. Just imagine him after the opening monologue. He does his one-on-one guest, and then he sits down with this panel. And they do a quick 30-second video montage of some of the shit that's going on in Washington in the last 100 days in the unkempt White House. And he just looks at his guests. One might be a congressperson. The other might be a New York Times columnist and go, can anybody tell me what the hell is going on in Washington? Because I'm starting to think these Q people might be onto something. He'll squeeze a joke in there, but there's ways of asking the question, Why? This is what I find very interesting about, let's call it the psychology of the crowd, okay? Why is nobody making jokes about this? Why are no shock jocks, Howard Stern, anybody? Yeah. I mean, this must be an open secret amongst the elite, kind of like Joan Rivers scuttling up those stairs at 85. Oh, everybody knows Obama, yay, and Michelle the tranny. Somebody would spit it out. It's been 100 days. What the hell is going on?
And 100 days.
I'm getting really weird in my thinking here. I'm going like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah, clones and yeah.
No, that's been in full. I mean, the Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a real scenario when you realize that half of these politicians have been switched out. This is something that again goes back to the ICC. The ICC puts down the mandate. All the mass media follows the mandate. Everybody that's on the shows and whatnot, and I mean the Hollywood and New York, and I mean they're all they're all in lockstep, man. They're in lockstep because that's they've sold their soul. They hit the crossroads and made a deal with the devil. And there's one.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, there's one interesting algorithm that's been showing up here on several sites is that Hillary last week was tried, found guilty of treason and sedition, and hung.
What? And we missed it? I don't want to miss that.
I'm a peace-loving dude as well, but yeah, I'd like to see that to make sure.
I'd like the opportunity to go in to buy a ticket.
It's an algorithm. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Viking's not saying it. He's saying that he's seen that information pop up.
What I'm saying is just by talking about it, we bring the probability closer to hand.
But I mean, here in the States, sedition and treason is punishable by hanging.
Yeah.
But Viking, has it ever occurred to you that your consciousness has splintered in the sense that you're picking up or living multiple timelines? Like maybe you see something, but it's this timeline.
It's a timeline. So I'm saying I can't confirm it.
Yeah,
but it's a possible timeline, and it's a very possible timeline.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I jokingly say, I don't care who you are, but if 56 of your friends, colleagues, and workmates die mysteriously, it's probably you. It's not. It's not like I've lost 3 family members over 20 years. It's the Clintons. This has been going on since the late 80s.
Yeah, it's the list. Statisticians will call it pattern.
My God, the list.
Another thing I noticed about the hardcore Trump holdouts like Simon Parks and Steele and what's the other dude there that
Charlie Ward
has. Charlie Ward's one. There's another big one, Wano Savin. They all. It's funny because while Trump was in office before the 2020 the 2020 election, yeah, all of those guys were fairly rational in their dispositions. Like they were, but as soon as a little trouble hit, they all started talking about the Bible, especially the Book of Esther. And
my God, I cannot deal with the fact that they're always going with the Bible. I cannot.
That's my thing, right?
I cringe when I hear that. I cringe.
Trump ain't no savior. He's wrapped up with kind of crazy Jewish group, right? The the American Christian Jew is what it is. There are no Christians in America. There's just Christian Jews. That's what it is, because they study everything in the Bible other than Jesus, right?
Well, there is an aspect.
Christian, it's just basically 4 books: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You could read them all in a weekend, easy. Okay,
yeah, and if you apply that conspiracy thing, if you find 3 different points of reference to clarify the information, and then you've got the 4 Gospels, which apparently Jesus is in all 4, but everything else is basically different.
Well, the Gospels are testimonies of people who knew the mission and time of Christ, right? That's what they are. They're testimonies. But this is what's going on. I've been thinking about this a lot, right? Because I'm saying to myself, what we'll call the freedom movement in Canada is much more based in fundamental rights and common law. There's when we speak about it, it's much more about Commonwealth heritage, right? And going back to British common law and the encroachment, basically Mike Gaddy stuff. Canada is largely, I'd say, a Catholic country, which is probably the most philosophical of the Christian religions now, is how I would put it. Europe, there's none of this sort of religious chauvinism and tin pot prophecy anywhere else but America, right? And, with 100 days or so to look back, and don't get me wrong, I'm not stepping off the Trump pedal. I absolutely love the guy. I loved his presidency. I think he did a lot. Economically, socially, spiritually, in every way, he did a lot, okay? I just never got into this King Cyrus, Trump the Messiah bullshit, all the Abrahamic tie-ins. And I like the prospect of Trump coming back doesn't thrill me. Now that I've been 100 days without the guy, it's just like, well, he didn't do anything in 4 years in terms of stopping this shit or arresting people.
Yeah, that's not true. That's not true.
Wow.
Okay,
so he could have done better.
I mean, I don't know. I think considering the situation he was under.
Look, we have to stay within the rules of real world news, okay? If it's not in the public record, it didn't happen. We can speculate, because this is alternative radio. Trump and the Andromedans rescued babies 8 kilometers under South Africa. We can do that till the cows come home. But we start to sound fucking crazy, and nobody's going to listen.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? You listen to the mainstream media and try to get these. They're not going to say anything because they're basically blacklined. So there is an alternative way to get whether it's true or not, where the sources are coming from. But I mean, Guantanamo's full. He's been doing his arrests. He's been if you look at the fact in his tenure, he shut down friggin' the Vatican, Buckingham Palace, and the White House as being the triangle of terror. He has done. He's abated wars in the Middle East. I mean, he has done an amazing job here of taking down the deep state.
The one thing from your litany of things that is absolutely true is he's probably the most peaceful president since World War II. He didn't bomb anybody. Even Carter let loose the hounds a couple times.
I think he did do one bombing.
So, he did Syria because he was basically lied to.
Empty, but it was an empty military airport hangar.
Exactly.
He basically just
Yeah. He didn't start any new wars. He didn't start any new wars, which is extremely what's the word I'm looking at? All the other ones have basically started a war.
Yeah.
So
hold on, I'm talking. As the Trump phenomenon begins to fade away, okay, and it is beginning to fade away, I'm doing a kind of cognitive postmortem on the presidency. And some of the things I'm coming up with are a little bit alarming, right? Like he really, the fact that he brought in baby rape and baby killing as a political campaign issue is a little disturbing. And then he just casually leaves the White House. I mean, when you escalate the public rhetoric to that level, why do you think people are believing there's going to be a military takeover because the election was stolen by Biden and his people? Because Trump and his people, they raised the bar to that good and evil spectrum. And the whole thing was a psyop.
Well, I don't believe it was a psyop. I think he was basically trying to. It's like when he had his campaign to drain the swamp. I would say 90% of Americans didn't even know what the word deep state meant until he came in office. And as far as him, riding off into the sunset, this is a bifurcated reality. There's Trump and the military, and then there's Biden with his clowns. And I don't think he has given up here, and I don't think he's going to be president again. But I think his team is definitely has not gone away. If anything, they're buying their time for the appropriate course of action here. And I really feel that you're going to see this this old bifurcated timeline of the 3D reality of subjugation get more exposed and finally just drop away, because the more people that wake up, that they have no hold. They have no hold. And one more thing, as far as it being an Abrahamic or whatever you refer to him as, he's actually, his team has a lot of Pleiadians. He's actually a Pleiadian prince. He's more coming from this galactic, trying to bring this consciousness into a higher state.
Oh, it's a perfect time to get to halfway here at Planet Collingwood. We're just going to go into the room, suck on some oranges, and talk game plan, and come back out for the second half and figure out why we're playing chess. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Planet Collingwood. Stick around. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. Anyone remember that show? This is Planet Collingwood, Open Round Table. My name is Monty Dean. You're on Revolution Radio Studio A, freedomslips.com and or revolution.radio. If you enjoyed the last hour, please donate to the station so we can continue broadcasting on A and B. We are global, but we keep ending up with white males. I don't know, diversity people. Big thank you to everyone in the chat room. Blasphemous Buddha, what a name. SJ and so forth are there if you want to pop into the chat room at freedomslips.com. And I just want a quick note. Hearing not Viking, Viking's here. Nighthawk, always good to hear. He's still remembered and we're holding the banner for him. Interesting. We need someone who can tap in and see what he's up to right now. I'm sure he's in a lounge chair drinking a bit of whiskey, just laughing at us. And he's been doing that for about 12 months.
I'm strangely interested.
Yes.
In what?
Just
in what he's doing now on the other side.
Yeah. Because when he said Revolution Radio, sounds like he jumps out of a plane, which is awesome. I've jumped out of a plane. It was Christchurch in New Zealand. It was on the ground, and I jumped onto the loading ramp, but I still jumped out of a plane. I've got that up there. You can check that in the Akashic records. Just don't look at my teen years. We don't need to go through that again. If you enjoyed the last hour, please donate. As I said, here with that's right. I have to produce myself. Yeah, and I'm here with Bruce MacDonald, Cortek, the Viking, and I'm adding another beacon icon, another huge
mystery caller.
Yeah, a mystery caller. Yes, someone who is on the West Coast but speaks with an East Coast accent, so that always throws me. But I've watched a lot of Rocky films, and so I know how to communicate. Yo, mechanic, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. Listen, Mr. MacDonald.
Oh, Mr.
MacDonald. Let's just get to it. All right.
We all paid up.
Yeah.
Somebody owe you money.
I'm gotta get my popcorn.
I don't want to hear any lip ladies.
You give that, Monty? Did you give him his $40?
Hey!
I gave it to you to give to him.
I said Tuesday.
Somebody's going to get clubbed here.
Look, I'm trying to drink.
Wise guys in here giving me lip.
I'm trying to drink.
Guys.
Hey! I'm trying to drink my coffee out of my favorite purple mug. All right? Sorry, mechanic. Go ahead.
Listen here, Rob. It's the return of freedom. It's the return of us being able to do normal activities. Ooh. Again, we're not there yet, but we're on the exit ramp. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Whose words are these? Dr. Mike Sag, right? Bruce, walk with me for a moment. Dr. Mike Sag, an infectious disease expert at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Welcome to the change. He feels that because the majority of the most at-risk individuals have been vaccinated, we can loosen restrictions.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This is a bunch of garbage. I mean, the propaganda in this, how they spin it, what they're telling the people. I've just realized I'm at the point, if I may interject just quickly, I'm at the point where I don't really believe anything anymore. I'm tired of, my discernment sucks. I need to access. I have to bring in Bruce into this, Monty, right? Mm-hmm. is that Bruce had said, and Bruce, I'm amazed that you said this because, I found myself yelling at the monitor when I could just call in. I'm such a goof. So
we've all been there.
Yeah.
You had said that 170 million, 150 million had gotten the sleever.
Oh, let's say Canada, America, and Mexico combined. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so all of North America.
Well, no, it would be like, I don't know. Yeah, I actually don't. I actually doubt Biden's numbers too. But anyways, it's irrelevant to my point.
Here because I got a message for you right here. Even the CDC today says that more than 5 million have skipped the second dose.
Ooh.
Thank God.
It's interesting about the CDC with YouTube. I'm not big enough so no one cares. So anyone listening, hey, sit down, have a coffee, let's talk. Stephen Crowder, they have shows pulled because of disinformation about COVID, and they're reading the CDC website. It sort of leans towards what Viking's saying, where Team Dark or a section of Team Dark are doing that big push to try and take things over, and they're doing it abysmally, and everything's backing fired. Like, oh, we're just censoring. You said COVID, so we'll just demonetize you and all that type of stuff. Like, did you remember that they started to crack down on Nazis if anyone was attacking Antifa or anything else like that? However, YouTube channels based on history professors had videos taken down because they were talking about the 1930s. And they mentioned
going crazy that year.
Yeah, the algorithm is kind of out of whack, and that's sort of like I'm seeing they want order out of chaos, but the problem is there isn't controlled chaos. It's natural chaos, and they still don't know what they're doing. Like Andrew Bartzis has mentioned, the Galactic Historian. I do a comedy show with him. It'll be this Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you would like to have a laugh, Bruce pops in and does better jokes.
Wait, what's that on your channel? What's
that?
I actually put the repeat up a week later out of fairness. So
where are you streaming then? YouTube.
The Galactic Historian on YouTube, Facebook. It's actually through Andrew's social media stuff, so you can see it live. And there is a link to go into the Zoom room, so you can go into the chat of the Zoom room and interact with us live, if you're brave enough. However, there's not a thing, but there's three things. There's something called a yellow box, which predicts or reads the future, and there's 3 on the planet. And that's how certain aspects of Team Dark have been seeing, like, oh, if we put this plan in, will it work, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, one of the yellow boxes has gone rogue, and so they've lost that ability to actually predict the future properly. And if you look back at the last 12, 24 months, yeah, you can see it, because all these things just, like, they pop up for a day and then drop out. Remember when December last year, oh, we've got the vaccine. And then like 2 days after all these people started getting sick, that just dropped down in the media, the consciousness or the zeitgeist. And even with Michaela Bryant, who was that 16 woman who was trying to stab someone, that's actually police work, and the officer saved a black girl's life. Unfortunately, had to take another black girl's life. But that's not part of the narrative. So that story's been dropped down, except for people like ourselves, by pointing out, and also LeBron James has had about 4 tons of shit thrown out of him because of what he did. Over.
That's a fair heap. Remember MH270 or whatever? That kind of dropped down. What a kerfuffle that was. Yeah, I don't know. What are you going to do?
Right, back to task here, man. So we're talking about going forward in a leaderless world. The yellow boxes are a very interesting topic. They actually exist. I think that they came into the popular consciousness about a decade ago. And a gentleman by the name of Bill Brockbrader, who claimed to be a member of SEAL Team 6, started doing interviews. They disappeared him pretty quick. They charged him on like 12-year-old charges of statutory rape. He had a 17-year-old girlfriend when he was 25 in Afghanistan. And they just sat on that for 12 years. And when he started talking, they charged him with it. Yeah. And we got out of jail. He sort of disappeared. A very mysterious figure. He was a super soldier, but he talked about the yellow box. He used it, right? And it's founder technology, and founder technology is a big, big deal. It's not to do with any other race. There were a collective of beings that work for God, I guess. You know, there's a lot of things other than what's just in the Bible. There's not just God, angels, demons, cherubim, and there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. And these particular beings, they set up solar systems and galaxies, and they can cross universes even, and their fundamental composition is liquid light. And the 3 yellow boxes were leftover remnant founder technology. And in fact, Earth is something of a scavenger hunt for technology. A lot of the races that come here are looking for technology, because we've been around about 55 million years. But anyways, we're getting way off track here. Let's get back to laughing at Biden and stuff like that.
No. I like where we were. It felt like we're in the jungle. Let's keep trudging along.
Well, it can be linked to Biden because, like, I'm upset with his family. Like, someone really said, shouldn't Grandpa be in a home? Because his eyes are way too close together. He doesn't look like I think Viking, the mechanic. Too many people with "the" as their first names. Mechanic has actually shown the pictures of, just 10 years ago, and either he's had work done or the clone. Get your receipt back on the cloning.
Well, his eyes are black. His eyes are black.
Yeah, yeah. And he stumbles, and his first press conference where he had those cheat sheets to see who would actually ask him questions and all this type of stuff, compared to Trump having everyone yell at him at the White House and all that. It's the hypocrisy of the differences between Trump and Biden is so obvious. It's amazing how people don't see it. Where I've shared memes where it's like a dystopian wasteland, and there's one person like in Mad Max, and they're standing in what was Chicago, and it's all been complete rubble, and all the skyscrapers have fallen and collapsed, and there's a big sort of highway sign saying, "But nice tweets." Because people complained about, there are people saying, I feel better about today because I know that man's not in the White House, referring to Trump. And I don't wake up with cold sweats to check what he said on those mean tweets. Meanwhile, only 100 days in Biden, actually, you are right. There's no white bits in Biden's eyes. So I know it's an audio medium, so I'll share to the audience. Mechanic is sharing the photo.
Amazing.
The difference is
black eyes.
Yeah, the difference between younger Joe Biden compared to today, and there's so many weird. I've seen a lot though. Whatever's been going on energetically on the planet, a lot of people have aged badly in the last decade. I'm watching movies and TVs. It's like, they're hot, and then I look at videos and photos now, and they've aged 50 years. Go ahead, Viking.
These are two different people. I mean, look where the eyes are in position to the ear, and just everything about this. His noses are different. The ears are different. Mouth. Everything. It's not the same person.
No, the forehead's the same. But yeah, that's a billboard waiting to happen, though.
Let's talk about culture for a moment. What is going on with culture, man?
It's a cultural genocide. That's what you're witnessing, Bruce. Well, you're not witnessing. I take it all back. You ain't witnessing. You're just kind of watching from a distance. Yeah. Cultural genocide. Go ahead.
Yeah. We're talking about PC, the woke agenda. This all started around about 2016 with. I'm sure it happened. It was leaking into. Yeah, it was leaking. I was trying to get to that so someone could chime in. The time marker that I have is Ghostbusters 2016, where apparently it was a comedy, and I want my 2 hours back. But it's
there's 4 women that no offense to the ladies, I love the ladies.
No. I can't think of the.
But I'm telling you, no.
Yeah, and there are great female comedians all through history, but I don't know why. Because I did a lot of improvising, and the script was shit house.
Everything.
Yeah, but it's you can see where everything's going woke and it's identity politics, political correctness, virtue signaling. Just very quickly, since we're talking culture, Bruce, because you are not watching the news, I'm envious.
Well, I want to thank everybody for the really ambitious answers to a question I never got to ask, but let me try again. What's going on in culture these days? I had the occasion tonight to watch Nomadland, and which won Best Picture. Okay, Frances McDormand. It's about a woman living out of her van. It is like a first-year New York film school project. Yep. Like it's like PBS. In fact, a lot of the extras were actually people who live in vans. And I'm watching this thing, and it's done by a Chinese director, and I don't mean Chinese American. I mean she lives in Shanghai, and it's the most bleak look at America. And it's just such a poorly done film. There's literally no drama whatsoever. It's basically like the CCP looking at America. Oh, these poor lost Americans. They grow old. They don't have families. They don't have this. They don't have that. And I'm going, this won Best Picture. She won Best Actress. You got to be kidding me. It's like it's like stringing together movies. Have you seen it, Monty?
No, I haven't seen it, and I don't think I want to because. I get the vibe of it. It sounds terrible, and then your review, I'm like, yeah, it is terrible. However, do you know what happened to the ratings of the Oscars?
Oh, I don't think anybody watches them.
Well, no.
Where's the history?
58% drop in ratings, and only 9 million people watched it. The lowest ever in all time. They're promoting it because it was twice as small. But this is where. And no one saw movies anyway, so the movies you didn't see, and it was just virtual signaling all the way through. The actress of that film won Best Actress, and just my voice is a sword, and our art is our sword. All this horse hockey stuff, but no one watched it. It's because
if you were standing in the sidelines with one of those massive hooks, to come out from the side of the stage, would be the line.
That's what's happening with the culture is the elite version of culture and Hollywood. They're pushing the whole virtue signaling and diversity, and we have to character change everybody. Usually from white to something else. And look, we're being edgy. It's like, well, if you want to be real edgy, I want to see White Panther because Wakanda is actually in Norway, but that won't happen because it's the white person.
You can't have culture in their so-called paradigm. I mentioned that they're terraforming this planet. Well, that includes their culture.
Yeah. And that's why YouTube's clamping down. The 2020 election in the United States, Stephen Crowder, I think, got like 4 or 5 million people watching. And it was miles ahead of CNN or PBS or anything else like that. A lot of people, the ratings have actually been dropping on terrestrial radio or even cable. People are moving to YouTube and alternative because they're sick and tired of being lectured to and everything else like that. Now, on the other hand, there is a British show that's shown on the BBC, and it's called Line of Duty. Haven't watched it yet, but their second last episode of the current season got 11 million people watching it live. And it just basically, and everyone's like, wow, it's amazing what happens when you don't lecture and have good writing.
Yeah.
So does that help with your answer to the culture where the
activists? I know one too.
Everything's gone now. Netflix is just non-stop propaganda, man.
Yeah,
everything they do, it's like the Soviet Union broadcasting station, right?
It's the only thing that won on that woke show last night. All the Netflix shows, just the usual BS. They got rid of it. There's no more. There's no more anything. There's no more real comedy. There's no more authentic, acting roles, challenging acting roles, in-depth goodwill hunting. Gone.
It's all they can do to churn it out.
Well, the winner of Best Actor was Anthony Hopkins, I think again.
Right.
It's Sir Anthony Hopkins, of course. Like just have an award for him. And Anthony released a film this year, so he'll have an award. However, the SJ nut jobs and the woke Wokarati or whatever name you want to use, freaked out because who played Black Panther? Someone Bosom. Yeah, unfortunately, he passed away. Yeah, Chad Bosom. Yeah, he battled cancer for 4 years, and he finally succumbed, and he moved on. And so, this was his last performance, and the Academy got in trouble because they didn't give the award to him.
Yeah, they didn't get in trouble.
Can't please everyone.
Go ahead, comment or
no, you go.
All right. Yeah, they didn't get in trouble. They didn't even get a finger wagging. What happened is the fans started, responding, twittering, doing whatever the social media is, complaining that the black dude got snubbed, right? Now, Anthony Hopkins himself, and I'm not defending Anthony Hopkins, all these people are clowns in my book, but the dude did say a few words about the black guy who got snubbed, apparently. So,
yes,
I don't see an issue here, really. Honestly, look, I'm a meat and potatoes guy. What do you want me to do? How do you want me to dress this up? Put a little bow on it for you? Go ahead, Monty.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, because Sir Anthony plays Odin in the MCU and Chad played Black Panther in the MCU, so they would have crossed paths and follow each other, and all those actors are unique. And he actually said, someone who was taken too soon. I think it was like 42, 44 or something else like that. And 43. With the success, one on each side. Don't make me come up there, Cortek. It's going to be
it's like if they say to cook, you put this in the oven for 15 to 17 minutes. Just say 16 minutes.
Yeah, but my pizza oven's shonky, so I'll probably go to 20. That's something anyway. This is what this leads to cancer culture as well. If you say something wrong in 1933, you'll lose a career and job and everything else like that. That people you can't, and also if you apologize, they'll eat on you more. And what we're seeing as well, instead of attacking their enemies, when one of their own does it, they eat on themselves. And so it sort of leans towards that, how do you win the spiritual war? Don't be in it.
I think that goes back to Bruce's earlier question about why people aren't speaking up about this. Shock jocks and stuff.
Well,
good catch, Cortek.
Yeah, because everything's so fragile, and it came out that Alan's a complete cow, and she lost her work and everything else like that, and
I actually have an answer to my own question, and I think it's just complete and total self-interest. They don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. It's extremely controversial. What the hell is going on? And
if you bring up something like that, and you don't have the answer, it sounds. Why would you?
Yeah. All of these guys are just happy to be themselves, right? They don't want to stand up in the canoe.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got their little niche and everything else like that. And
you give me a $5 million a year talk show to do, and I'll probably keep my mouth shut on everything you put in the contract.
Yeah,
gentlemen, take a look at the chat, and I dropped this picture. This is from the 24th. You could see, if you look at the digital display above, hanging from the ceiling, you see the date and time there, huh? And then you look down. What do you see here? No social distancing. No monitoring, no masks, no nothing, no panic, no paranoia, no one living in fear. Yeah, this is Russia. You think there's still a global pandemic?
Well, technically, yes. Go ahead, Viking.
Well, technically, there never was one.
Right.
Well, I saw someone actually said basically it's just a new version of influenza. Viking, please continue.
Well, no, I mean, you have to look at the Webster Dictionary. Pandemic, the first 2 weeks, 20% of your population is dead, and in 6 months, half your population is dead. This is never a pandemic. I mean, the whole thing was just to further their agenda to keep us in fear and chaos. They might have well be drawn their agenda from Get Smart with the chaos there.
Yeah, it's just. It's fascinating as well, where everyone's turning into an activist in the media, and if you remember what LeBron James a basketball player, a black, a
2020 turned everyone into an activist.
Yeah, a black basketball player who's complaining about the treatment that he receives in the United States. Being a multimillionaire, has never been arrested. He basically showed a photo of the cop, basically doxing the officer who in the Michaela Bryant thing, and said, like, "You're next," #accountability. And the comedy that came out of that. There were police doing TikTok videos. It's like, hang on.
Riot. It's a meme riot, Monty.
Yeah. It's fantastic where, you've got actual police people sitting in their cars. It's like, oh, look out there. There's two people having an altercation. Oh, one's got a knife. I should go. No, wait. I'll call LeBron. What should I do now? Yeah.
There's pictures of LeBron right now servicing all over the, mainstream or whatever.
Yeah.
He's walking down Cleveland sidewalk with 4 cops as an escort.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, now, also, if anyone from the far left listens to this, we're not saying go out and kill black people. I think we'll lean towards don't kill anybody. It should be due process and so forth. That's the thing. Like, I have not seen anyone agree with the death of George Floyd. No one on the planet has gone, good. Oh, I'm sure there's some racist retard on top of a mountain going, I hate black people. That's why you live on a mountain by yourself. Bruce lives on a mountain, but he's surrounded by 200 people. So they're completely different.
Live on the mountain. I'm surrounded by,
My point being, there was no policeman saying that was a good thing and all that type of stuff. My point is that everyone knew it was wrong, and yet you had this complete response of, let's burn down our own community because we're angry.
There's a lot of energy in the young people. They're sick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's better ways of doing it. Like, I don't know, learn to not resist arrest. Have you tried that? Have you stopped committing crime? Putting that out there.
Okay, Monty. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
okay. You got reasonable articulable suspicion I've committed a crime, officer? See, you're asking for my ID. And if you don't have RAS and the 48 lower, I know pretty much for sure. New York still has some stipulations, but that's even changed. That you have to have reasonable articulable suspicion to get my ID. Here's how a lot of these things kick off. The individuals haven't done anything that, well, by law, the cop or the suspect or subject is not required to give ID. At what point do we stand up to this? At what point? Now I do, but I'm white. I whip out my white privilege card. Boom, bada bing, I'm let go. But black guy says, what's your reasonable articulable suspicion? You think cop doesn't listen to that when it's a black guy talking. I've seen this happen. Now, I'm not saying it's systemic, but I do know that happens.
But you've also had
I've watched it for more than 10 years. All right.
You've also had up to 30 years of gangster rap, which perpetuates into the culture where the media is saying that all police are hunting blacks, and so the black community, most black, whatever section of black community are fearful of police, and so when there's an interaction, they're all heightened because the police sometimes don't know if this guy's going to.
Is as long as there's no threat of violence, these cops need to be within their They need to be calm and professional, or they don't need to wear a badge.
Oh, if I can, I'll step in right now and say I am for police reform. The police need to be reformed, but also it does help where nearly over 50% of violent crime is perpetuated by a small group of the community.
90%.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, not all cops are bastards, but not all black criminals are saints.
No, but the majority of crime in the United States is black on black. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah, well, that's the next thing. It's like, if you want to save black lives, stop killing yourself.
Let's talk about who's killing who.
Yeah, And also, if you're a police person over the years,
you want to know what the second is? Black on white crime.
Well, there's twice as many people, white people, that get killed by cops than blacks as well. And then they use the statistic of like, oh, but the population of the black community in the United States is 12%. Yeah, but strangely enough, not that 12%. Not every black person is a criminal. You can't use that statistic.
Right. Did you already say that white people get shot specifically? We need to talk about specifically shot by law enforcement far more than blacks.
About twice as much, yeah. There's been, in this year alone, 50 black people have been shot. I think 5 unarmed, but there's been over 100 white people being shot by police, and only 9 were unarmed.
And 264 police were killed this year.
Well, yeah. Talking numbers, let's cover the board. let's get all the players that are on the field.
Yeah. Okay. Well, 254 police were killed this year. What did they do? Did they pull the wrong individual over when they shouldn't have? Did they go into the wrong house without a warrant?
Also,
where are these things? I bet you I can pull out all kinds of justification.
Also, out of 800,000 sworn law enforcement officers, we're talking about what, less than 10 occurrences of officers shooting victims. I mean, this is blown way out of proportion. Way out of proportion.
It's theater. Would you say it's theater, Viking?
Oh man, it's pantomime. To create an agenda. To create an agenda. The whole thing is to create an agenda.
Well, how many
improv? It's a traveling improv group throughout the United States. They're traveling on these big 4 white buses and doing improvs.
Yes. I'll add one more statistic, which is basically the sandbox. I'm not sure of the number, but how many interactions the law enforcement have with the citizenry. And so all these numbers are minute. Now, obviously, anybody getting killed, I'm not in favor for. But if it's millions of encounters and then you have 150 citizens being killed and 234 police being killed, it's been blown out of proportion. Now, obviously, we want that to stop. We don't want it to keep going. But we're protesting. You're burning down Walgreens. That's not protesting. That's arson.
Yeah, that's
first they loot it, then they burn it down.
Of course. Sorry, I wasn't thinking I won't finish that sentence. But that's the thing. It's like that people bring up, another black man shot by police, and yet this mass murderer, white man, was arrested. Yeah, because the white guy didn't resist arrest. When he got caught, he realized, I'm caught. And so he just put his hands up, sat on his knees and all that type of thing. And as Mechanic was alluding to, people use the broad statistics, but if you get it down to individual interactions and cases, it takes a while, but you can go, well, this is where that went wrong and all that went wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Go ahead, Bruce.
So I just received a report that Trump is coming back into office, taking over everything, man.
Which office?
He's not.
They've done away with the presidency. He's going to be emperor.
Emperor God
Trump.
King?
Yeah, they're making a gold crown for him now.
He's not coming back into office.
No, I think he's done his part. He's done his part.
I think he did too. I think he did too. Yeah.
How old is he now?
Yeah, I think he's
74,
75, 75 maybe.
Yeah. I think he would probably he may have loose term a party or a movement type thing. And I mean there was
coalition.
Yeah, coalition or just a group, a large group of people, because he is loved and supported by a lot of people. Fortunately, they take it to the nth degree and he's a savior. It's like, no, I would guess that Trump would actually say, no, I'm not your savior. I'm giving you the opportunity to save yourself. If I can say it
exactly.
Because he's got this strange thing. Crowder points this out. Like Republicans, they're about business and making money, and the Democrats are fighting for the unemployed and everything else like that. Well, for the parties to keep popularity, the Republicans want everyone to make money and start a business. So the Democrats have to keep everyone as a loser, and so they can give them stuff.
Yeah.
but not much.
No man's land.
Even this last stimulus bill, I think 8% is going to actually going towards stimulus.
Yeah, well, if I had the time and enthusiasm, I would go through the last 100 days of this presidency and list all the stuff that's happened. But isn't he with the bills and stuff that's going through Congress or whatever? It all adds up to like 3 or 4 acts of legislation, and it's what, $5.5 trillion.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay for that? And we know the Fed is corrupt and everything else like that, but or a better way of saying it, how many generations will have to pay that off?
It's not a question.
Bruce said Viking.
It's the most ambitious construction plan in American history. It outdoes who was it that did the New Deal? Was it Eisenhower?
FDR
or Truman? Yeah. It's quite simply the most ambitious reconstruction bill ever put forward in American politics. It's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. And he's following the Trudeau model out of Canada, which is deliberately bankrupting your country so that people have to accept the Great Reset, right? This is what this is all leading to. Confiscation of property, and basically, they want to create a plug-and-play reality where you just walk around with some kind of electronic device that transfers credits for whatever you do. Public bathroom, get on a train, get on a subway, rent a house, and everything you do in this world now you're going to have to pay for. This is what they're leading to.
Yeah, the Chinese social network, which is actually an episode of Black Mirror, where it's all based on sort of ego and everything else like that, and you can't have wrong think, and it adds to what Viking was saying, like getting rid of food, so the means of production all go to the government and they control everything, and if you disagree with them, you become a nobody and have to live in a cave.
Yeah,
but and the great thing, I mean, remember when they announced the reset thing, where it's like, oh, this is going to happen, and a week later, oh no, it's not. I mean, Trudeau is famous 2 videos. He talks about the reset, and then a week later, so I didn't say that. Like the video's still up on YouTube, you wanker. But the slogan was, "You won't own anything, and you'll be happy." I'm like, no, I think I won't own anything, and you'll be happy. I'll be living in a living hell, and I don't think. I know we're not overpopulated. We have very bad management. Even today, half the food that is created on this planet goes to waste and is rotting away. And so, cows farts, it's ruining the atmosphere. And do you see is it John Kelly? Who's the one that looks like Frankenstein that ran for president in 2008?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He. It's like, have you been hanging out with Bill Gates? Because he said, we have to remove CO2 from the atmosphere. And it's like, you're going to kill the plants, which is going to kill the bees, which is going to kill us. You, sir, need to be put into a home or an institution.
It's not John Kelly. It's something else. He's definitely Frankenstein.
Kerry.
That's
I was close.
So this agenda. I mean, this is the worst excuse. This is what I'm talking about. The worst excuse that cow farts are the problem. I mean, this is like, and then they want to do with cows, and I mean, the way they justify their behavior is absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah. Now, with their model, and you have to get rid of that. What happens when a volcano pops off and pumps 3 years of CO2 into the atmosphere for erupting for a week? Do we tax the mountain?
How about all their private jets? I mean, right there.
Yeah. I love that. It's just 300 private jets go to Davos to talk about climate change. Like, this is
nothing sus.
Yeah, nothing's sus. And if the seawaters are going to rise, why do you keep buying $1 million mansions on the coast? Well, think about it. If there was going to be, Viking, if there's going to be catastrophe like at this level, the banking and insurance industries would be reacting to it now. They I want to buy a house on the coast. Oh, we're not going to give the loan.
We're not going to insure that either.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Viking, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's not going to happen. I mean, already we've. There's so much ice melt that's occurred. You think there'd be an effect on this planet, while the galactics are actually siphoning off the water. So our coastlines are safe. Going back to your $5 trillion, who's going to pay for it? No one is, because it's just inflated money. It's just going to create a larger price tag on our food and our clothing and our, the price of lumber. The price of lumber in this country has doubled. It's doubled in the past.
Somebody showed me a picture, or I saw it on Facebook a couple days ago. I was so taken by it, I copied it and sent it to a few people. It was a grocery store in Canada. It was 4 chicken breasts, 4 boneless chicken breasts. And it was about $32 Canadian, which is about $26 US.
Wow.
You couldn't even feed a family of 4 or 5 with that.
No, exactly.
Right? I mean, I remember when you used to be able to go to a restaurant for $35 for 4 people, to Pizza Hut, or like 10, 15 years. Like food, lumber, and look, I got to say this, okay? Because I got to keep my own
electric bill.
Yes. Yeah. I was saying this 2-3 years ago. I was talking about the frog in the pot, and I used to get into these arguments with Hijacker. I said, it's never going to come down to a sandbag war. You're just going to run out of energy, because every time you go to the grocery store, the price of apples and chicken is going to be up, and your diet's going to go down, and you're not going to have the energy to fight them. They're so far ahead of everybody, it isn't funny, right? And it's going to get worse. You got cash flow dissipating. Now, here's the thing about COVID, okay? And this is what I bring to the table here, from my perspective and where I live. The more developed the society you live in, which means the more accredited, you have to have credit to live in those societies. You need mortgages for the condos, the houses, the townhouses. You need loans to buy your vehicles. The whole world doesn't live that way. Over here, when someone wants a car, they buy what they can afford. They don't go on monthly payment plans. I have $5,000. What can I get? And they go and they buy a vehicle, right? So the most developed worlds are the ones that are most stressed and most hit by what's going on now with COVID. Yeah. And it's only going to get worse. So
it's only those, Bruce, just to add to it, and you can continue. It's only those countries specifically that I think participate with the global economic, right? The global economic system.
The SWIFT,
the central bank, the World Bank, the Federal Reserve.
IMF,
BS. And Russia is in opposition to that. They have spoken publicly in opposition to it. Putin himself has spoken against it, and here we are. He's being targeted. Shocker.
Oh yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah.
There was 3 countries that didn't have a central bank: Iran, North Korea, and somewhere else.
7, actually. It's inside of PNAC. 7, right? Inside of PNAC.
Yeah. It's like that that white paper before 2001, or around about 2001. There were 7 countries on the list, and I think Iran is the last one.
Lebanon, Iran, Syria, Iraq.
Yeah.
Statisticians would associate that pattern as well.
And I like how they say, we're getting out of Afghanistan in September, so just watch for a false flag to unfold, and they'll stay in there.
Yeah, he said specifically 9/11 is what he said.
Yeah, it's like, well, who's going to guard the poppy fields?
Come up with that date?
Well, that date. Look through the last 100 years. That date is very popular. It's
you think?
Yeah. Like, was it George Bush Senior? Was it a State of the Union address where he announced
September 11th, 1991?
Yeah, he gave out gold-plated Desert Eagles on the day, and he was talking about New World Order, and then it was sampled by Ministry for their song NWO. And it's like, people have known about this for years, and it's fascinating where there's a virus and you'll die, and everyone's fear of death has been exasperated, and there's still conspiracy theories. I remember a year ago where half of the conspiracy theories were freaking out because it all came true, and the other half, I jokingly shared a meme saying, I need new conspiracy theories because all my old ones came true. And we're best of times, worst of times, and it's to get through it for me, from my personal experience, is to disengage, not turn into a robot, but not engaging anymore because it's like when Melbourne was in its lockdown and worse than North Korea and people in Pyongyang had more freedom than people in Melbourne. The only way I would know there was a pandemic is if I went to buy food and people wearing masks. Apart from that, everything's roughly the same. It's like that Bill Hicks joke. I don't know if you've watched CNN for 22 hours a day. I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend watching CNN at all. But, it's war, famine, death, AIDS. War, famine, death, AIDS. Then you look out your window. Where is all this happening?
Nothing, right. They've been tested multiple times, Monty. Multiple times.
Oh, yeah. It's
multiple times.
And they're losing, what's CNN? CNN in the first week of the Biden administration lost 48% in ratings because they didn't have Trump to bag, and they're trying to drag Trump back into it.
Yeah, they are. And it might be a mistake that'll bite him in the butt here too.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where it's not revolution, but it's just pumping up the frustration and that
I keep hearing stuff leading back. Multiple sources now are telling me that. It's more garbage. It's more hopium, And I don't want to say garbage because some people truly believe in it. Our friend Viking is a believer in it. Scott McKay, these are two hosts on Rev Radio that are believers in the hopium, and I'm torn now because I'm hearing from more sources that yes, indeed, Trump will be reinstalled in some fashion.
Some fashion, yes.
Yeah,
it's just
I'm sort of 50-50 where I hear information, it's pure hopium. However, I'm like, if that happens, awesome. I'm not against it.
Right.
But it's like I unfortunately don't see it happening because it's how can I describe?
It just seems like
there's a difference.
Plane is coming, and you're looking up to the 6'4" Latin guy.
Yeah,
you're screaming, the plane, it's just
no, my friend, that's a seagull. Good Simpsons jag. But it's basically it's the difference between Mary Had a Little Lamb and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's what's happening is the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but people analyze it from Mary Had a Little Lamb aspect, where it's either this or this. But it's so vast and complex. We know sort of the premise of they want to control everyone and remove everyone because they think we're useless eaters, and yet they created the education system to dumb us down. It's why not sit in the last show? Why are you complaining about people are dumb when you've made them dumb on purpose?
I'm still stubborn enough that I'm willing to sit here and disagree just to the point to where I don't want to ride that wrong train. Right? You get it to me? Right. So right now, I'm so weary, I guess just a natural instinct now that I've become this weary to be out in front and cease and desist all operation related to misguided truth or some type of fantasy or a lie. Right. So I guess that believing in something so extraordinary that it could literally change the fate of this country.
Well, in a way, it's once again there's level. It's a quote Kramer: levels, Jerry, levels.
Right.
As Viking has been put forward, Bruce has been as well, myself, and dare I say Cortek as well, just to make it's a group.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, we're all in. Hey-yo. Anyway, if you live through, be aware of the outer, but work on your inner. If that's a better way of saying it. Find your passion, be the change you want to be an awesome human, and be aware of martial law, if I can use that example type thing. However, don't go. Viking, help me out here. If you get sucked into their game, they've halfway won. Is that a way? Yeah.
No, it's energetics. If you can rise above it. They have no more hold on you, right? I mean, if everybody just stopped playing their game, they would lose. It's energetics. I have an advantage because I have a lot of galactic perspective. I mean, for example, there's 40 habitable worlds in our solar system. We're only counting 9.
Yeah, 40.
I'm talking to galactics all the time, and I'm getting a perspective and timelines, and future. So okay, it's like I have to say that, and the hopium here is that I'd rather believe in the fact that we're going to make it into this new paradigm than not. It's like my belief in fairies or Santa Claus.
Some will.
I'd rather believe in this and create that energetics and hold that line, than not. Because if you're not holding that line, then you're feeding into their story.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Viking, completely. A new paradigm is coming, and the negatives aren't going to win. We're just in a very precarious position right now, right? Where it's all in people's heads. It's like most gunshot wounds now will be people shooting themselves in the foot, not somebody shooting somebody else. Metaphorically speaking,
just a bunch of dumb decisions. You're right. You're absolutely right.
So
and everybody's all jacked up, right? And we got to be responsible about what we say on air and stuff to a certain degree. I mean, right? But everybody's so jacked up now. It doesn't matter. Everybody, the left, right.
Stupid sauce.
Well, the way like the decisions that I've made and my connections in my brain, like a white cop shot a black girl. I'm still all I heard was a human shot a human. And that's part of the whole identity politics. They're splitting everyone up. They want to have black only drinking fountains.
One girl is about to stab another girl.
I know. Yeah. So you're upset.
Identify the race.
Yeah, exactly. And one guy, people are upset that the police officer killed a black woman because he was saving a black woman. And that's why this story doesn't work. It doesn't fit.
Two children.
Two children. Yeah, but the point is that the narrative it doesn't fit the narrative at all because it was the right thing. Now, obviously, someone died. We're not in favor of that. Girl, but what was the police officer to do? He was about to see a murder. Now, even if he did nothing, he would still be in trouble. This is the level of insanity that we're in.
He should have kept one more bullet in the direction of the dude about to kick the girl on the sidewalk.
And that's the other thing. Can we talk about the father kicking the girl on the ground?
Yeah, can we talk about why he didn't get a bullet? Because it would have been justified in my book.
Yeah, but everyone's is crazy.
He was unarmed. He was kicking a little girl in the head.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying in a broad spectrum, not just that situation. There's so much energy and maybe friction, but there's that frustration, and I don't know if they're tapping into the change, as I call it. But there is a change happening on, and old ways are falling away, and we're facing ourselves in the mirror. Like it's a version of the Dark Night of the Soul, but it's complete clean out, cleansing. Everything goes 20 minutes. Let's go. Come on. And then people who are unaware or they don't want to deal with their own trauma, if I can use that label. They're freaking out and they lash. Instead of doing the work, they're lashing out.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
and which is causing more chaos. Go ahead.
We're in a real pickle here, boys.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Well, no, I mean, their agenda to eliminate the police is so they can bring in their New World Order militia. That's all agenda.
No. They don't want to federalize the police. They don't necessarily want to abolish them. They just want to have a federal eye on every sidewalk.
No, they're defunding the police. They're trying to eliminate the local, men and women.
They want to bring in a federal replacement.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I just said. That's what I just said.
Yeah, you remove the police departments of local counties and cities. A vacuum would you have gangsters ruling.
You can't. There's just no way.
No, and they'll either
sheriff
bring in,
is that solid.
Yeah, but if they try,
solidly rooted in this country, you're just not going to.
And that's part of the checks and balances as well, where the sheriff looks after the county type thing, and they're voted for as well. And instead of Razorfish shared this. I know we're near the end of the show. Apparently, the FBI was only created to stop Capone back in 1908 or something like that.
Yeah,
28.
Well,
28.
So when I think about the sheriff, I think about one of the most famous sheriffs in the last 20 or 30 years in America, and that was Sheriff Joe Arpaio in Maricopa County, Arizona. And not many people know this, but Joe was actually the head of the DEA in like the 80s. This guy, he lived in Colombia for several years. He speaks fluent Spanish. If that guy says these Mexicans crossing the border are dangerous, I believe him. Believe him.
Oh, yeah. He gave them every incentive to not come here. He would dress them in pink and throw them outside in tents for the night. That was their prison cell.
Yeah. Now, before the music,
he's the only dude, the only sheriff, the only political person I know that would go to 2 other countries and get a forensic test on their birth certificate, proving that Barry Santero was a fraud. Go ahead.
Thank you. Just do a quick round the horn wrap up. Cortek, thank you for joining as always. I love you, but from afar. Let's not get crazy here. Bruce, thank you for joining. We'll be on air again, the Galactic Historian and myself's comedy show, which is on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's the music. Viking and the Mechanic have shows. Go to the schedule on the website and you'll find them. So
go get it. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Love you all from afar, and I'm going to go lie down. We'll be back in 6 days and 22 hours because that's how we loll. You're listening to Revolution Radio. That was Planet Collingwood. See you soon.